I'm Asaki Matsuzaki, a psychiatrist.
Now, I'm often asked, why did you want to become a psychiatrist, or why did you become one?
I was just recently asked that by a nursing student, and someone else just happened to ask me the same thing too. There are several reasons why I became a psychiatrist, but the biggest one is probably that I've always been interested in talking with people.
Over the past few days, I've been asking various people, psychiatrists,
And medical students who want to become psychiatrists, why did you want to become a psychiatrist? It was really interesting.
I also asked some counselors, even though they're not psychiatrists.
There really were all kinds of reasons. Now, as for when people first became interested when it comes to psychiatry, some say it was even before they entered medical school.
back in high school or junior high, some people read books about psychology or psychiatry and thought, this is really interesting.
And for some of them, that led to the decision, then I'll become a psychiatrist. They realized, to become a psychiatrist, I need to become a doctor. So they entered medical school, became a doctor, and eventually became
A psychiatrist.
Some people had already decided in junior high or high school to become psychiatrists and followed that path.
There are also people who, back in junior high or high school, read books about psychology or psychiatry and found them interesting but left it at that. Later on, without any particular connection to psychiatry,
They vaguely thought, maybe I'll become a doctor and enter the medical school. Then, at some point along the way,
they thought, oh, this psychiatry lecture is actually interesting. Come to think of it, I remember finding this kind of thing interesting back in junior high or high school, and decided maybe I'll become a psychiatrist. There are also people who, even at that point, just thought it was interesting and moved on, became a doctor.
and when it came time to choose a specialty, that's when they decided to go into psychiatry. I'm that type. I wasn't someone who had been seriously thinking about psychiatry from the very beginning. There are also people who only realized after becoming doctors, oh, psychiatry is actually interesting. Some didn't have any particular interest back in junior high or high school and just ended up becoming psychiatrists in the end.
So it really varies from person to person. So then,
What exactly were they interested in? Well, it was psychiatry, but not just psychiatry. It was a bit more nuanced than that. To begin with, some people were particularly interested in the brain. They found it fascinating that everything we feel, and even abnormalities in the mind, seem to come from something going on in the brain. They thought the brain is really interesting, and that curiosity led them to focus on it. And apart from that, there are also people who are drawn to the mind itself, its systems, and the illnesses that affect it. They find the mind fascinating. It's similar, but a bit different. Some people are more interested in the whole person rather than just the mind. Their interest includes a sense of time and progression. Or, rather than being interested only in the mind, some people are drawn to the person as a whole. For them, it's about the passage of time, an interest in the full arc of a person's life. And there are even those who are not only interested in the mind or the individual, but in something larger, the broader processes that go beyond the person themselves. There are people who are drawn to those kinds of things as well. Right, there's the brain, the mind. There's the person. And then psychiatric symptoms and disorders themselves
Or what some people are interested in. Honestly, I'm that type.
I did have some interest in psychology, but still, things like delusions. There's a whole world like that.
there are people who feel that way.
Psychiatry really is interesting, isn't it? And then, aside from the brain, the mind, the person, and psychiatric symptoms, having an interest in talking with people was something I found to be very common among those who choose psychiatry.
Now, being interested in talking with people, yes, you could sum it up in one phrase as an interest in talking with people, but even that contains a variety of elements. For example, in my case, when I was thinking about what kind of work I wanted to do, I thought, a job where I get to talk with people, that sounds interesting. There are other people who say similar things, you know. Like, if talking could actually be part of my job, that would be pretty interesting. It's not like I was trying to be a host or anything like that.
So there are people who chose to become psychiatrists because they wanted a job where they could talk with others. And then there are those who simply don't mind listening.
Or who genuinely feel they want to listen and be there for someone.
Then there are people who go a step further, not just wanting to listen, but being genuinely interested in the idea that listening itself can be a form of healing or support for others.
You can really feel that they're more actively choosing to become psychiatrists.
And then there are those who go even further.
They're interested in thinking about what kind of words might truly help someone. At that point, you can really
feel that they're actively trying to engage with others in a therapeutic way.
Well, that includes listening too, of course.
But it's really about how to engage with someone. And then there's something a bit different.
To be honest, that applies to me as well.
Being interested in how people respond to the words you say. Yeah, there are people like that too. So as you can see, people become interested in psychiatry at different times.
Things like the brain, the mind, the person, and the symptoms. They're drawn to different things. And it's also about how they want to engage. Even among those who are interested in talking with people, the way they want to connect and what specifically they're drawn to can differ.
I didn't really mention it much, but
there are probably people who are more interested in biological treatments, like medication or electroconvulsive therapy. And that's probably especially true for those who are fascinated by the brain. So those were some of the different types of people who want to become psychiatrists. Okay.